Hey everybody, Josh from Populi. Today we're going to look at setting up the chart of accounts. This is where you will designate all the different accounts that you use, whether they be income, asset, liability, and so on. Here's the deal. Whenever we talk about finances or financial aid, we like to make sure that we're not overstepping our bounds. I'm not an accountant. I'm just a guy who got middling scores on the math section of the SAT. So we're going to talk about how things work in Populi, and we're going to make some suggestions about how to kind of work within that system, but ultimately we're leaving it up to you as the accountant and your accounting team to make sure that everything is legit. What is this? A cute, chonky little baby's legs? Because we're talking roles. You'll need the financial admin role in order to set up the chart of accounts. To have a look at the chart of accounts, we'll go to financial at the very top here, and then into accounting, and that will land us on the chart of accounts. You can click here to add an account to your chart of accounts. Obviously, as you're setting up your chart of accounts, the main goal is to reflect in Populi the way that your accounts are set up in the real world. Typically, a given account in Populi will mirror a real world bank account. But because Populi doesn't have a full accounting system, you won't mirror absolutely all of your accounts in Populi. For instance, Populi doesn't handle payroll. So accounts related to payroll would be unnecessary to add into Populi. So there are situations where you'll have an account in your accounting software outside of Populi that you won't have in Populi. But then there are situations where you might have multiple accounts within Populi that add up to a single account outside of Populi. Let's say that in your full accounting software, you have an account for fees. But within Populi, you want to be able to track the income that you've gotten from certain types of fees. So let's say you have a fee account that just collects registration fees. You'd be able to easily see those fees aggregating in that account, and then you could have another one for, say, late fees or something like that. So you could keep those things separate, but then the collected balance of those fees would equal that one fee account outside of Populi. The same thing could happen with tuition. Maybe in your full accounting software, you have one tuition account, but within Populi, you want to have a tuition account by program. So you might have an undergraduate program account for tuition and a graduate program account for tuition. You would point your various tuition schedules, one for undergraduate at the undergraduate account and one for graduate at the graduate account. And of course, the same is true of financial aid. You could have one aid account, probably not a great idea, that has institutional aid and federal aid together, or you could break those out into their own accounts. And then you could even get more granular than that. You could have institutional aid split out by different scholarships with their own accounts, and you could also have different federal aid types separated by their own types, Pell, Unsub, etc. Obviously, in order to get good data down the road for those accounts, the best time to figure this out is at the beginning as you're setting the accounts up. So it's kind of like you're stuck in a bank vault with reinforced steel walls and you're trying to send telepathic messages for help. There's a lot to think through. Okay, once more into the breach, back to our screen capture. And right here for the account, this would typically be the account number, but you can add anything there. You can add an abbreviation or a nickname, what have you. Then we'll give it a name. We're gonna call this bank account. We're not gonna give it a description. Then let's have a look at our different account types. We could have asset accounts, liability, income, expense, and equity accounts. Asset is the only one with a subtype. That can either be cash or non-cash. And then once you've set these things here, we can click Save. And let's look at a couple things here. You can see that we've got an accounts receivable account. We do have several accounts that are set up as soon as you start your instance. Accounts receivable will be one of those. It's the only account that you can't change anything about because it's wired up to function as your accounts receivable and allow you to produce student balances and so on. And that means that at least as of this video's recording, you're only able to have one account receivable account per instance of Populi. We can also set different dates here on the balances as of field. So if I make a change and then reload, we're gonna see different amounts show up over here in the balance column. We can also export to XLS and CSV and get this table in those formats. And if you have made changes to your balances as of field here, then the numbers that you get in your spreadsheets will reflect that date. If you see a trash can in this column here, that means you can retire that account. So that account will no longer be able to be used for new transactions, but it won't change anything about old transactions that have already been recorded. If you see an account with the information icon in that column and click on that, you'll be able to see what's preventing it from being retired. So conceivably, if you were to go through and make changes to the things that are preventing this account from being retired, you would then get the trash can and you would be able to retire the account. One other thing to be aware of is as you're setting up various other aspects of the financial side of things in Populi, you may need to come back to the chart of accounts to create a new account. Let's say that you're setting up your convenience fees for online payments and you realize, oh, I want a convenience fee account. You would just come back, set that up on the chart of accounts, and then go designate that account as your convenience fee account. But right now, why don't you go ahead and click that like button, because we're at the end of the video and my life is hard enough without your like. Also, click subscribe, and then when you get that little notifications bell, ding, 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 go ahead and click that as well. That'll get you updates whenever we post a new video to our channel. Don't forget to check us out on social media. You'll see that linked in the description below. I'm Josh for Populi. Have a great day.